Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Matthew is on his way to a wonderful football game this coming weekend, which we will get to in a while. And Matt, I'll tell you, we're not at a loss for really good college football, pro football, golf. You can't ask for a better ending to the Major League Baseball season. So we got a long way to go in a short time to get there, as the old saying goes. So let's jump into it. These are the early games
Yeah.
tomorrow. By the way, tonight there's two big games. There's
Yes.
TCU, Arizona State, and there's Florida State and Virginia. We can tackle those first if you like.
Yeah. For Florida State, it's just a matter of they need to go handle their business against
Hmm.
Virginia and prep for next week against Miami. I'm pretty sure they'll have game day there next week. So next week is important. They need to make sure that they're focused on this week and the task at hand because I don't think Florida State or I don't think Virginia really matches up with Florida State talent wise.
No.
But this is a spot where you can get caught looking forward on a short week and make it tougher than it needs to be up there in Virginia.
Well, basically, um, anytime Florida State has entered the state of Virginia, they've had problems. Um, that was back in Beamer time and at Virginia Tech, and it's if I'm an FSU fan, I like you say, I'm hoping they're not looking forward, um, but at the same time, even under the best of circumstances, it seems why like entering the state of Virginia is it, it takes like 7 points off of the game. Um,
Yeah,
it's not like FSU hasn't had great success in Virginia. They have, but it's never been easy.
yeah. And then when you shift over to the matchup out in Arizona later this evening, it's a big game for the Big 12. I've said
Yeah.
before, I've said every week in the Big 12's a big week. But this is really a game that can determine pole position as we really get into the meat of these conference schedules for the Big 12 in specific, because these are two teams that I would consider right on that top tier of the Big 12.
Oh
And
yeah.
there's a handful of them in that top tier in the Big 12. And,
Hmm.
and there's not like a distinct, I would say, talent advantage from one team to the next. Maybe you say Texas Tech after what they did to Utah last weekend. But in terms of these two teams, they seem fairly evenly matched, and
Uh-huh.
TCU gets the bad end of the draw, having to go to Arizona State. But I still like TCU in this game. I like TCU to make the Big 12 championship
Hmm.
because like they've done it before under Sonny Dykes, and I think they have the same talent to be able to do it again under Sonny Dykes.
I mean, they're two of our favorite coaches. You got Sonny Dykes at TCU, you got Ken Denninger out in Arizona State,
Hmm.
and I think I agree with you that the TCU has tremendous talent. Um, I think the key here is, we know they're not going to sneak up on, on Arizona State, and Arizona State has something to prove.
Yep.
And so I think it's going to be a very entertaining football game. I think that it's going to be worth staying up to watch for sure.
Yeah, and part of the reason that I'm picking TCU in this game versus ASU is it
Sure.
and through the air, Sam Levitt hasn't really found his groove yet
Right.
with Jordan Tyson because Jordan Tyson's really been their main option, and teams
Hmm.
have the ability to game plan around and kind of take him out of the game plan. And the receivers outside of Tyson haven't done a lot for Sam Levitt so far this year.
Right.
So I like as a collective, that Arizona State offense has really relied on Sam Levitt and Raleek Brown in the running game to drive their offense.
Right. But at the same time, they're gonna come up. They're gonna come around sometime,
Yeah,
and you know uh, whether it's tonight or not, we don't know. But
yeah,
what I do like about this, we talked about just a second ago. I like these two coaches. I like them a lot.
yeah,
They're very good game day coaches, and so that means that we're gonna see a very interesting and fun game tonight. I
yep,
wouldn't hell it might be just like Arizona State and Baylor last a couple weeks ago. So
Yeah, that part of that result last weekend is what gives me a little pause in Arizona State because they won the turnover battle by 3 and they won the
right.
game by 3. So
Hmm.
it's concern. I think it's like it's good to go on the road and win football games against good
Sure.
teams, which is what they did. And you do that however you can. Like it's not like
Hmm.
there's some magical formula that's going to work every time. But it's concerning when you only win by 3, having won the turnover battle by 3 as well.
Sure. That's true. All right, let's go to the early slated games tomorrow. This is the noon to 3 o'clock games.
Hmm.
Notre Dame, Arkansas on ABC. Uh, USC, Illinois on Fox. That's the big noon game. And a team that we've been high on, Georgia Tech, visiting Wake. Uh, Arizona, Arkansas has found ways to lose in the final minutes of games, the last 2 games they played.
Yeah,
So Notre Dame and Arkansas, I don't know what's going on down there. Notre Dame should be able to handle this.
I find this one interesting because Arkansas is going to present the right problems for Notre Dame on the road. Like Arkansas has got 2 losses on their schedule right now. They could easily have 0 losses on their
Oh
schedule
yeah,
right
no
now.
question.
The way they've closed out the game against at Ole Miss and the game at Memphis, like they
Hmm.
found ways to lose those football games. And for Notre Dame on the defensive side of the football, a lot of their personnel and their scheme didn't change. But when Lou Anarumo left, something seemed to leave with him in that defense. Like their secondary, they returned a lot of good guys. Leonard Moore and Christian Gray are the 2 names. Like the talent didn't just disappear, but the Notre Dame defense has. And Taylon Green has looked really good this year. He he gives he gives Notre Dame the right problems. And when you're on the road in Fayetteville, it can get to you. And Notre Dame needs this football game. There's a reason the spread is as close as it is. Notre Dame's in a tough spot, but they have to win this game if they want to keep their hopes of making the college football playoff alive.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. If they're 22, if they fall out of the top 20, forget about it.
Yeah. Uh, And for Sam, I would say on the other side, for Sam Pittman, like if I'm not saying if he loses this game, but if he loses this game in a similar fashion that he's lost the other 2 so far this year, that may be what does it for his time at Arkansas.
Well, I mean, that's what the people in Arkansas have been saying for the past 2 weeks. They've circled this game as, look, anytime Notre Dame comes to town, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Notre Dame doesn't come to Arkansas very often. And so this is going to be one of those games where it's one of those games where you've 10, 15, 20 years from now, people will be talking, regardless of what the outcome is, people will be talking about, I got to see Notre Dame when they came to play at Arkansas.
Yeah.
So 100%, this is one of those games that you don't want to get on the wrong side of. You want to win. And
Yeah.
Arkansas has fumbled the ball on the final drive 2 weeks in a row that would have set them up to win. And you just can't, even as bad as Notre Dame, this has not been a very good looking Notre Dame team, but it also hasn't been a very good looking Arkansas team. So it's going to be an interesting game, as you said. I think it's going to be very
Yeah.
entertaining. Um, on the other hand, frankly, during this time frame, I like that USC Illinois game.
The UFC Illinois game is interesting for me because it's 2 teams that feel like they're kind of they're coming into this game in a bad spot,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds weird if you're USC. If I'm talking about USC, you're like, how is USC coming in a bad spot? They're undefeated. The offenses look good. They started their game last weekend at 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Right.
They got the late slot, and now they go across the country to Illinois, and they start at
Mm-hmm.
12. Like it's a short week. It's a tough week. I'm sure it's probably an odd week for them, where they probably aren't going to be as rested. And like on the road, getting up for a noon game, I feel like is harder than getting up for either of the 2 later time slots. So I think scheduling wise, USC kind of got the short end of the stick, and then you flip the page over to Illinois, and they got pounded by Indiana last week, and they
Right.
lost by 53 points. They lost a bunch of key defenders. It felt like to injury. This is a team that's licking their wounds, and I think it's going to be very hard for them to bounce back this week.
To your point about the time element, a noon game, and this goes back to the days of doing the Big Ten games of the week. A noon game, when we played at, remember that Illinois is in the Central Time Zone, so it's 11 a.m. for them. So it's early. It's there. That means that Illinois' football team will show up at the stadium at 5 o'clock in the morning. Take that to USC, who is losing 2 hours in this deal. So body clock wise, when they get this stadium, it's going to be 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd be surprised if USC didn't show up at 3 down.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Lots of caffeine and smelling for the football team.
Yeah,
Saturday.
It's crazy. Gus Johnson, Joe Klatt on the call. A team that we've liked this year, and I can't say that they're surprising anybody or showing up to surprise anybody this time, is Georgia Tech. Wake Forest, I really don't know much about. I think it's so early in the season, you haven't been able to really look at and evaluate people. But I've seen a lot of Georgia Tech. I haven't seen much Wake Forest.
Yeah, Wake Forest is they're trotting Robbie Ashford out there at quarterback. He's a guy that started at Auburn, transferred to South Carolina, sat on the bench behind Lenore Sellers at South Carolina, got some spotty playing time when Lenore Sellers was kind of in and out with some injuries earlier last season. He's a guy. He's a really good runner. He's a really good athlete, but in terms of throwing the football, he's really. I struggle even to say hit or miss because it feels like it's more miss than it is hit for him.
Right.
He can get a drive or two put together, but their offense is going to come on the ground, and I just think it's a really tough spot for Wake Forest, who just quite frankly isn't a very good football team to beat, who is a well coached, and I fully expect Georgia Tech to be focused on this game. I like Brent Key, and it's clear that his message resonates in that locker room, and I would not expect a sleepy start from Georgia Tech on Saturday.
No, I think you're right. These are the 3:30 to 5 o'clock games. LSU Ole Miss on ABC. Should be entertaining football game. Ohio State is out in Washington. If ever there's a trap game, in my mind, it's that one. And then you've got Utah, West Virginia, and Auburn at Texas. Those are our. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of games, and if you go tomorrow to the website, you'll be able to see. I put together an entire block of all the games, where to watch them, who's the broadcasters for both the NFL and for Fox. I'm sorry, for the NFL and college. So you'll have a chance to see. But these are just the highlighted games. Some quick thoughts on these 3 games.
Ohio State is interesting because I feel like you're going to get a little better sense of who Ohio State is. First real test after Texas. And in a game where, Texas and Ohio State both played that game very close to the vest, it felt like very conservative play calling for both the offenses. And so they're in a tougher spot this week. You're gonna get to test the gumption of Julian Sayin this weekend as they head out to Washington, who sports the second longest home win streak in the country, second to only Georgia right now. So I would say Ohio State's in a little bit of a unideal spot. That they should go out there and they should win that football game. Should is the key word, though. It's not going to be an easy spot by any measure. Go to the Magnolia Bowl. This is one that really has my attention on Saturday because a lot has been talked about this LSU defense and how good they've looked and what they've done. And Brian Kelly's gotten some heat on how the offense has looked, but it hasn't
Right.
mattered up until this point. And something that like I started to think about really heading into that Florida game was like how good is the LSU defense? Because they've
Hmm.
stopped Florida and they've stopped Clemson and they've stopped the G4 teams that they've played. Go look at Clemson and Florida. They both are 1-3 right now. They can't
Hmm.
move the football on anyone. Uh, You know that isn't named LSU as well. And so this is a tough test for LSU. They're going on the road to Ole Miss, and Trinidad Chambliss is a guy that it feels like they almost lucked into him. But man, he's just fitting in right now, and he's doing the job, and the offense is moving significantly better with Trinidad Chambliss in as opposed to Austin Simmons, who was in there prior to him. So I think that Ole Miss is going to win this football game.
I like Kiffin. I do. I like how he coaches teams. I like how he plays in big games because he's mostly shorthanded in those situations.
Yeah,
Um, and I don't like Brian Kelly in big games.
yeah.
So go
It
ahead.
he just doesn't show up in those games quite
No,
often.
it's a tough situation.
Yeah,
Um, Ohio State, Washington, Utah. This is a in my mind Utah and West Virginia. I think Utah's going to win. It's kind
they
of like a
should.
survivor pool.
Hmm.
They can't come across the country after losing that game last week to Texas Tech, getting
Yeah,
clobbered, and lose to West Virginia. Even though Rich Rod, I'm sure, will be ready, I don't think that's something that he wants to see. Auburn and Texas could be entertaining if Arch has another one of his bad games. That could be
so
a painful
I'm
one.
gonna correct you real quick here. It is Texas A&M that Auburn is playing this weekend.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you. Then I'm not
Yeah,
as concerned.
yeah,
Um,
um, yeah. A&M, A&M should win this football game. Their offense has been really good. Auburn went to Oklahoma. They've whined and complained all week. Seems like the only thing their fan base has done this week. But they play a football game on Saturday at Texas A&M. So
mhm,
they've got to be able to get themselves together and figure it out because Jackson Arnold got sacked 10 times last Saturday. Like
mhm.
that's not going to get the job done, and that's where Texas A&M is successful right now. Is their defense. Their defense isn't great, but if they let A&M run up and down the field with those receivers and Mario Craver and Casey Conception, then it's going to be another long Saturday for Auburn, who has to
Right.
again get themselves up after what was a tough loss. That they have quarrels, but last weekend was last weekend. You got to move on now.
Absolutely. Well, here's two games that you and I are going to be heavily invested in. You're going to be Georgia. I'm going to be Penn State, and it's sad to me that they're both on. They're being played at exactly the same time. You've got the whiteout
Yeah.
in at Penn State. You get the blackout in Georgia. Um, since
Hmm.
you are the representative of the Bulldogs, I'll let you take on that first game between Georgia and Alabama.
Yeah, I'll be honest and say that I was very I couldn't bring myself to do it, and I'll get into the reasoning why, but I almost picked Bama this week.
Hmm.
It part of it has to do with the fact that like Kirby just hasn't really beaten Bama. He's 1-6 against them. Now the one that he got was the national championship. So if you're gonna get one, the
Yeah,
best
get
one to
that one.
get, yeah, hands down, best one to get. But there is a little bit of like the monkey off the back kind of a deal, I and outside of that, getting into the actual football aspects that matter on the field. Bama can present the right problems. Like Georgia's secondary didn't look good when they went on the road to Tennessee a couple weekends ago,
Right.
and
Yeah.
Ty Simpson has thrown 3 incomplete passes in the past 2 football games he's played. He's been incredibly efficient, on target, on time. He's looked the part. And those guys on the outside, Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams, will get the job done. Jam Miller's in there, and he's a really good back and pass pro too. Like he can do a really good job blocking, as good as he is of a runner. But this is where Bama might run into some problems. Their offensive line hasn't been fantastic so far this year. Talked about people have talked about Wisconsin being able to really get a push on that Bama front. And so, and when you mix that in, and you mix in the fact that they're on the road, and I may be wrong here, but I believe Kalen DeBoer's record on the road at Alabama is 2-6 right now.
It is. Yeah.
So it like, and this isn't, with all due respect, because I know they can make a great atmosphere, but fresh off of the reconstruction, that Florida State atmosphere is nothing like what it's going to be on Saturday in Athens with the Blackout. It's going to be a different kind of juice. You can go back and you can watch that Tennessee game. I think they had 8 pre-snap penalties in 2022. There's a certain kind of juice that'll be in the building on Saturday night in Sanford Stadium between the hedges, and it's something that Kirby's talked about at at the first 2 press conferences. For the first 2 weeks, he was like begging the fans to come out. He doesn't have to beg the fans to come out this week. They know the stakes. They want to beat Bama more than they want to beat anybody. And for all the problems that Bama can give, I just think the road environment is going to be a little too much. And that Georgia offense has really instilled some confidence after what they did at Tennessee.
Yeah. Jerry has a question, and it's do we think the Big Ten and the Big 12 only playing 9 Power 4 contests will hurt them? I'll weigh in real quick, Jerry, in this one. Then Matt, take it. If it's not going to hurt the Big Ten as much as it's going to hurt the Big 12.
That is correct.
That's just a sad situation, but the perception becomes reality with regard to the voting, and the perception of that Big Ten, even the lower part or mid part of the Big Ten is better than the lower part or big part of the Big 12, is the perception that that will weigh in the CFP in my mind. So it's going to hurt the Big 12 more. It's going to hurt the Big 10.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think it's really a good thing for the Big Ten. It feels like what has gone on over the past year in college sports when it comes to the scheduling dynamics, the Big Ten feels like they've gotten away with highway robbery, because somehow they've convinced the SEC and the ACC to go to these 9 plus. The Big Ten's not 9+1; they're 9 conference games, but the ACC and the SEC have gone to 9+1.
Right.
And I get why they did that, because they cross some rivalries, and so some teams were going to have to play another P4 opponent, the Georgia and Georgia Techs of the world, the Kentucky and Louisvilles of the world, Florida and Florida States of the world, right? So that's the reason they did it. But the Big Ten, who have they sold on their conference being so deep? Like Northwestern right now? What are we doing? Purdue? No. Rutgers? No. Like the middle to bottom tier of the Big Ten, where did they get this billing? Because they're not very good. And so the fact that you can have a 9-game conference schedule, that when you size it up next to that SEC conference schedule, is going to pale in comparison. And then the fact that the SEC is also playing 1 extra conference game and the ACC is also playing 1 extra conference game, they set themselves up for it feels like, just in terms of pure scheduling dynamic, and things can change on the field. But the Big Ten has set themselves up in a pole position.
Let me take this from a broadcaster standpoint, okay? A network standpoint. There's a reason that NBC, CBS, and Fox are in on the Big Ten, and that's because the Big Ten always produces eyeballs. So you're going to get people in the country, more people in the country, to watch an Indiana versus Purdue game, or Northwestern versus Illinois game. Then you're going to get pick any of the middle to bottom. We'll say Arkansas, an Arkansas Ole Miss game. It's just not going to register as TV wise as it would with regard to the Big Ten following the footprint. I'm not debating the fact. I'm agreeing with you because I've done both, and I understand that the depth of the SEC is better than the depth of the of the Big Ten. For many years, it was the Big Two and the Little Eight. And frankly, at this point in time, it hasn't really much changed. So,
No.
perception becoming reality. It's the networks like it. The networks have been sold, whether you consider it or not, a bill of goods. It is what it is, and changing that narrative is going to be tough to do because they've been sold on that narrative for like 6 years.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, credit, all the credit is due to the Big Ten, their ads, and the commissioner up there, Tony Petitti, I believe. Like
Yep.
somehow they've, like, it feels like they've gotten some kind of like a pole position in terms of power
Mhm.
in college football, which is fascinating to me.
Yeah. I mean, well, Tony Petitti, I had the pleasure of working with Tony. Tony left CBS to become the head of MLB Network, and it was Tony and Mike Oresco who came up with the March Madness package, and they both know and love and revere college sports in general, college football in this case more than anything. So I mean, they know how to package,
Yeah,
and that's the situation. It
yeah.
made it easy. Now I'm going to be covering the game for us in up in State College against Oregon. So whiteouts at Penn State, and honestly, uh, I'm a James Franklin fan, but you know Dan Lanning is good. I don't know what to think. I mean, if James Franklin doesn't win this game, Penn State may never win a national championship or a Big Ten championship.
Yeah, it comes down to, like, you've got to win a big game eventually. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to get there if you don't win a big game. And they made it to the Final Four last year, which was
Mm-hmm.
really good. But then you look at how they did it, and it makes you feel a little less good
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't beat Ohio State last year. Like, they didn't have to beat Ohio State last year. They didn't beat Oregon in the Big Ten championship last year. Then you look at the playoff games. Well, they had to win two playoff games to get to the Final Four. Who'd they beat? Well, they beat SMU at home, and then they beat Boise. I think people far and away would agree that those are probably the two weakest teams in the playoff field. You did your job and you got where you should, but you haven't won that game where it feels like you are on a level playing field and you went out there and you beat the other team. Talent wise, you're going to be on a pretty level playing field. If anything, you maybe give the edge to Penn State just because their guys are returning. Like, this is returning talent. It should have good cohesion. And I know people have probably looked at the first couple of weeks and been like, well, they don't look good. Well, they're probably keeping everything off tape that they can. And they know that those first weeks are like, get our legs under us, get going. We're saving everything that we've got for Oregon. And then
Mm-hmm.
you take that and you couple it with the fact that when Oregon went on the road to Northwestern, that first half was ugly. Like, it was an ugly first half. If I remember, I think they went to have like maybe a 7 point lead. I don't remember what the score was exactly going into half,
Right.
but they didn't start fast. This is Dante Moore's first true road start. No disrespect to Evanston, but their little stadium on the lake right now is not going to be anything even remotely in the realm of what the whiteout's going to be like on Saturday night.
No, it's going to be 105,000 people shoehorned into Beaver Stadium. Um, I'm not looking forward to leaving that building because it takes a long
Yeah,
time to get in there. It takes a long time to get out of there. But I am looking forward to the game. I um, I spoke briefly to James Franklin this week. Um, he tells me that this is the best Penn State team he's had in years. I'm wondering how much coach speak that is. But they're number three in the ranked in the country, and
yeah,
if you're gonna prove it, if you're ever gonna prove it, then prove it on the field. Because as you just said, I mean, Ohio State, Michigan, they can't seem to beat them. But if they lose this game to Oregon, you got to think that puts Oregon in a position where they might end up winning the conference.
Yeah, no, it definitely gives Oregon a good because like this is going to be Oregon's biggest hurdle, you would think.
Yeah.
So it would definitely put Oregon in a good position. But I think when James Franklin, if he truly means it, it's not just coach speak. It's because of what they did in the portal this year in terms of
Hmm.
the wide receiver room. They went out and they added Kyron Hudson, and there's another guy, and this is on me. I should know this. They had another guy from the portal. He's from a G4 team, and like I remember looking at him and thinking like yeah, this guy should also fill a need. Like
Hmm.
their difference makers are going to come from the outside. Talked about how the best teams are built. The best teams are built through the high school recruiting, and then you
Right.
supplement through the portal. They've nailed it in recruiting. Like Drew Aller should be the answer at quarterback. They've got the running backs they need. The defense looks really good. They went out and they supplemented the places that they needed to supplement. Now it's time
Hmm.
for it all to come together.
Yeah, and James has been, James has been a hell of a recruiter in the East Coast here, and yet it hasn't translated. We're gonna have to see if it does for Penn State because you know you you just keep wondering how long is it going to be before Penn State reaches that point of actually being able to accomplish what many people think they should accomplish.
Yeah, and I would like to say this because I feel like it's thrown out a lot. It's not that Penn State can't win a big game. They
No,
haven't. They
right.
haven't recently. Like you go back to 2016, they
Uh-huh.
they beat Ohio State at home and they beat Wisconsin in the Big Ten title. Like
Right.
James Franklin has won big games. Problem is that it's been almost a decade now. We're on year number
Hmm.
9 since that happened. So it's time now. Like you've done it before, but it's been so long that people don't think you can anymore. You can. Now you got to go prove that
Hmm.
you can.
He's kind of got, in a way, a Jimbo Fisher complex on him. You know, Jimbo won it at FSU, and people now, that got him the Texas A&M job. He never met the expectations
Yep.
at Texas A&M, and so there you go. I'm not saying Franklin is leaving Penn State if they don't win it against Oregon. It's
I would be
just
shocked.
this is the time. If there's going to be a time to do it, this is going to be a time to do it.
Yes. Yes.
So
They need to get it done.
my hope is in the press box we'll be able to see what's going on down there in Athens at the same time we're watching what's going on at Penn State.
I'm gonna be
I'm sorry, Matt, we missed that. What you were trying to say. For some reason, your audio got crushed.
oh I said I'm gonna be trying my best to keep an eye on what's happening in Happy Valley.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a little tough. The cell reception isn't always the best in Athens.
Well, I'll text you and keep you posted on what's going on. So we'll go from there. All
Sounds
right, we're
good.
going to downshift from college football
Yep.
to the Ryder Cup this weekend on NBC Peacock, the Golf Channel, Sirius XM Radio for everybody. It's going to be a lot of fun. There is the Ryder Cup is different. If you're a golf fan, you know what I'm talking about. This is golf, like tennis, is a extremely important individual sport. You don't often play
Yes.
teams. You don't often root for a guy who a week before beats you. But now they're
Yep.
your teammate, and now it's all hands on deck together. And we haven't won a lot of these recently. The Europeans have done well. Now you're keeping track of it, so let me know what's going on here, buddy.
I mean, it was what people thought was a dream start for the U.S. It quickly turned on. I tweeted out earlier that John Rahm and Terrell Hatton they won their match against JT and Bryson on holes 6 and 7. They had a couple of just ridiculous saves that
Hmm.
that went from like, okay, you could be looking at 3 down after 7 to where now not only are you not 3 down, I think they were tied after 7. Like that's the kind
Really?
of swing that they had.
Wow.
It was honestly insane to see. But the they the Europeans looked to the U.S. in the early morning foursomes. It was, I believe, it was uh like I think it was three down, 2 to play, uh,
Mhm.
5 down, 3 to play, and 4 down, 3 to play. Were the scores earlier from today? Like the U.S. team got smoked. I don't know if
That's
Harry's
that's
going to work.
yeah.
Scotty
That's
Scheffler
surprising.
not found team format.
Uh, yeah, you kind of faded
Russell
out there
Henley
for a
did him
second.
no favors. Oh,
Okay.
I said Scotty Scheffler has yet to find a groove in the team format of golf. Like
Mm-hmm.
because his greatness is so based on what he's able to do, like
Mm-hmm.
the way he moves and the way he thinks, and like it's impossible to pair him with a guy that thinks and attacks the course the same way that he does. Like there's a reason that he's as good as he is. So it feels like it's tough to get him going, and he just hasn't gotten going in foursomes in the Ryder Cup. I think he's 0-3-2 in foursomes.
Yeah, it hasn't been a good. It hasn't been a good go for him, which is surprising because he's such an outstanding golfer. Um,
Yeah.
Real quick, has it surprised you at all how much of a fan base that Bryson DeChambeau has been able to cultivate?
No, because like he's done a fantastic job of like connecting with the fans. The YouTube channel like changed,
Mhm.
like for I feel like he was already trending towards like being a little more of a public favorite. You know, there was a stretch there with him and Brooks Koepka where it
Right.
seemed like everybody hated Bryson. But
Hmm.
you know, things kind of started to shift after he made the move to live, which interesting that after he made the move to live, he got more popular.
Right.
Um, but when he started that YouTube channel, really it allowed him to connect with the fan base in a different way that all of the other golfers just don't have. Like so when you pair that with the way that he plays, because he plays like I would say a very exciting brand of golf. He wants to drive the ball really far and he's got good emotion when he plays. And so
Hmm.
all of that is really cultivated. And when you're as successful as he's been, because like in terms of live golf, the guys that show up from live in the majors they haven't all really produced. Like, you know, they'll kind of go up
Right.
and down. Bryson's been there. Like for the past 2 years, he's been there in what feels like every major. So it's the
Hmm.
sustained success along with the fan outreach that's really allowed him to grow the fan base that he has.
Well, he's done such a wonderful job on social media.
Such a
He's
good
got
job. Like
TikTok, he's got the YouTube channel, he's got Instagram. I mean, he's everywhere where his audience should be.
yeah, and I think what makes it like what brings it full circle is that when he gets out on the course, like it's the same thing. Like he's
Right.
still trying to with the fans he's as playing. That's the way he goes about his business. And so it's it's not like one thing that's made him like this popular. It's
Hmm.
he's nailed it on every front, and that's what's led to this big boom in popularity for him.
And good on him. I mean, he's been
Yeah,
able to do it and do it properly. So you want to see
yeah,
somebody who puts an effort in. That that's it. And everybody, all the kids, anywhere from 15 to in their early 20s, are grabbing the grabbing the driver and saying, "Let me hit the ball like Bryson DeChambeau."
yeah. I would caution. I'm not sure I would try to replicate his swing. I would
No,
say it's a very difficult. Like it's not going to be successful for most people because
no,
his golf clubs.
you're going to end up with a rotator cuff problem.
Yeah, because like
Um,
all of his golf clubs are the same length. They've got the same
mhm,
grip. It's literally like the head is the difference, and they're
right,
really difficult to hit, but they're unique to his swing.
absolutely. All right. Well, we'll keep on that, and we'll have Monday. We'll have a little bit of a chance to bring you in on what happened there.
Hmm.
What an incredibly entertaining final weekend of Major League Baseball we have, ladies and gentlemen. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And 3 games to go.
Yeah.
And real quick, games that matter. I'm rolling down this thing. The Yankees, that they're in, so we don't have to worry about that. The key is whether they're going to be the division champions or whether Toronto's going to rally. On Apple TV tonight, the two big games, and they both start at the same time. So you'll have a chance to, if you have Apple TV, you'll have a chance to bounce back between them. And that's Tampa Bay is in Toronto. Uh, Hauser's pitching for Tampa Bay. Beaver is pitching for Toronto. The game between Detroit and Boston is also on there, and that's Mize throwing for Detroit. Harrison pitching for your lovely Sox there.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw it on Twitter. I think it was from Tyler Milliken, who's a Red Sox guy, works on the Section 10 podcast. But he's talking about,
Mm-hmm.
he said something like, how poetic would it be if Kyle Harrison won the game, was the winning pitcher that got
Nah,
the Red Sox into the playoffs? Because he was that key piece in the Rafael Devers trade.
right.
Um, so that'd be very nice. But if you're a Red Sox fan, such as myself, you're not fully content because you're not yet in the playoffs, and like there's still a path.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the way you don't make the playoffs is if the Tigers sweep you and the Astros sweep their series. Like that's the only way that you don't make the playoffs. So
Yeah, that's not
like
going to
it
happen.
all yeah, all things point to playoffs for the Red Sox, but still you've got to go do it. And I'm very much looking forward to having playoff Fenway back.
Well, meanwhile, about 800 miles to the west in Cleveland, it'll be Lighter and Ciccarone throwing tonight as Texas comes to town. And that's going to be, going to be a key game for the Guardians. They're at home and they can't let their guard down because, you know, this is the last week of Detroit. I mean, I don't think Detroit has done everything wrong in the past month. You hope, if you're a Detroit fan, that Boston clinches so that you that you don't have to go toe to toe with them all the way through the weekend,
Yeah,
because that's going to be a tough draw.
yeah. I think the bright spot for Detroit is that the pitchers they get is they get Harrison, probably get Connor early, they'll get Luke Julia. So they miss Garrett Crochet in that. I think they'll have double go. I don't know that. Like I haven't gone and looked and seen.
Right.
I thought the Red Sox were supposed to miss Scooble. I'm not sure. But for the Detroit Tigers, like you really need some. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they beat Cleveland last night, so they
Yeah, he
were able
did.
to salvage a game from that series. But you need some positive momentum going into the playoffs. I don't care if you win the division or you don't win the division. They need something to kind of start going their way and get the gears turning the right direction because it feels like they've been in free fall, and like free fall doesn't even feel like it does. It feels like they jumped out of an airplane without a
Right.
parachute
Forgot
over
the
the past
parachute.
couple of weeks. Yeah. So they need something to go right for them as they head into the postseason.
Right now, just as you brought up, Scooble is now scheduled to play. It's a pitch on Sunday.
Okay. So that's basically like a last chance. Like if they really need it,
Right.
then Scoob will go.
Which they might.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tonight the Mets are with the Marlins, and they draw Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah.
Um,
They get a rough draw in Miami this weekend.
yeah, they do. They get all the good pitchers that Miami has.
Yep. Yep, they go.
And trust me when I tell you, Miami would more than love to drive the Mets out of Miami and push them up to Port St. Lucie for the winter. So we'll see. It's a big series. Um, Miami, people say, well, they don't have anything to play for. Well, actually, they do, and that is the if you can't get into the playoffs, if you can make sure somebody else doesn't get in the playoffs, and this is a team, that is going to have a lot of fans down in Miami. They're probably going to be more Boston fans than they're going to be Miami fans. So it'll be a little bit of Fenway South, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah,
Jumping over to the National League, I think we can write Arizona out of this script at this point.
that's
Um,
that's really where the Mets get like the. I know they got the tough draw in terms of who Miami's
mhm,
throwing this weekend with Alcantara, Perez,
mhm,
and then Cabrera going, which is 1, 2, 3. And
right.
by the way, just a quick note: if you're looking for some hope as a Miami fan going forward, if you're able to keep those three guys, and you've got Kyle Stowers, like you have good pieces on your roster to build a successful
Hmm.
team. That means you got buy-in from your ownership, but you have the right pieces in place. But still, they got the bad draw in terms of pitching, but in terms of team, they got the good draw. Like
Hmm.
the two that they're fighting against are playing the Padres and the Dodgers to
Right.
close out their season. So you're the Mets, you have the lead, you're playing Miami, you better make the playoffs.
Hmm. Well, Cincinnati got the bad draw because they ended up in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Uh, Latrell is throwing for Cincinnati. Feister is throwing for Milwaukee. Um, Cincinnati has, they went out and lost 2 out of 3 to Pittsburgh in
Yep.
Pittsburgh. Um, they got to hope that Milwaukee's just going to rest for the playoffs because, um,
Which I don't think will happen because I think they're
no,
still in a
no,
fight for the
well,
one seed.
you would be foolish to do that.
Yeah.
You want to keep, some sort of edge.
Well, I
Uh,
think I think
anyway.
Milwaukee's still in a fight for the one seed with the Phillies right now in terms of the
Yeah,
NL standing
but
too.
not that. I think. Well, I can check on the games, but I don't think it's that big a deal. Let me check
Yeah.
real quick as we talk about it. Let me look at the standings. And okay, where are we? We are looking at. Of course, the American League pops up first. The Phillies stand at 94 wins, 65 losses. The Brewers are at 96 wins and 63 losses. So there's
So
a
they'll probably wrap up
there's a
the
two
one seed.
games there are a 2 game split there. So
Yeah.
in that regard, and they have 3 games to play, so they have to lose all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Uh, Highly unlikely that that's going to happen. So anyway, and by the way, just for not in the proverbial not for nothing, Philadelphia's actually playing some pretty good baseball.
Yes, they are. They're playing very good baseball right now.
So right now in the American League, um, the Tigers are in. Houston's a game back. Cleveland is a game ahead of the Guardians. So that's where we are for. And by the way, for those of you who are looking forward through to Sunday, um, all the games start at 3:05
On Sunday?
on Sunday.
Interesting.
That's been the way they've done it for the past 5 years, so that so that you don't know what's going on, which is ridiculous because every clubhouse in baseball has television, so they're going to know what's going on.
Yeah.
But anyway, uh, I would suggest those baseball fans stick close. You got Apple TV tonight. You got Fox tomorrow. On Sunday, you've got ESPN. But all along the way, uh, tune in, my buddy Greg Anzinger and the folks at MLB Network. They will more than happily take care of you.
Yep.
All right,
Absolutely.
we got a quick run through some football here. Here we are in Sunday early games. Washington is in your neck of the woods, taking on the Falcons in Atlanta. Um, we don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to play. If I had a guess, I would say he probably won't. If
Yeah,
they think Washington wants to, you know, save him just a little bit longer, if that's at all possible. And
yeah,
so that'll be the game. I guess the concern is, which Atlanta team is going to show up.
yeah. I wouldn't be like too high on Atlanta. I know they got the win in Minnesota, right? But that
Mhm.
doesn't instill a lot of confidence with the way the Minnesota offense looked with JJ
Right,
McCarthy. Like they were able to beat a bad Bears defense, but it doesn't really signal good things, especially when you look at the other two games where you lose by 30 to Carolina and
right.
you give it up in the last second to Tampa. Like that,
Mhm,
this is a really poor start for Atlanta to this season, and
mhm.
it seems a bit hyperbolic to say because if they win in Carolina, or heck, even if they show up in Carolina, then you probably don't feel the same way. But the way that they showed up in Carolina, you do feel that way. And
Mhm.
if Jaden Daniels doesn't play, if they were to lose to their former backup quarterback, I you have to imagine that things are going to start getting a little restless in Atlanta.
Well, I mean, I can tell you from speaking to different former quarterbacks who play their old teams, they definitely want to, if there's a way that, I mean, all week long, if in Washington's practices, I'm absolutely certain that, you know, there's been constant conversation about, from a team standpoint, let's go in and just bury the Falcons on behalf of Marcus Mariota.
Yeah,
So, it gets to be that way. And, it makes for very entertaining football.
yeah.
Speaking of which, the LA Chargers are in the Meadowlands, and the Jackson Dart experience begins on Sunday.
Yeah, this felt like a move that was coming sooner rather than later.
Hmm.
I would say I am a tad bit shocked at how soon it came. But I think part of it is like they feel a little better about the weapons that they have around them, and they feel like there's some offensive potential outside of Russell Wilson, who I saw it the other day. It feels like he's kind of played himself out of Hall of Fame conversations the way he's performed since he left Seattle. Um, but like the potential is there. You've got Cam Scatterbooth come on. You've still
Hmm.
got Malik Neighbors out there wide. Like they have some pieces around where Brian Dable feels like he could have an offense, but they didn't feel like they had an offense yet. So now it gives him a chance, and it's a quarterback that I like a lot. Like he's got the right physical tools. I think he's 6'2". He runs well. He's got a good arm. So he's got the right potential, but I will caution in the fact that sometimes when you rush these guys out there, it can go poorly for them, and
Sure.
and it definitely has that chance to it. But obviously, it got to a point with Russell Wilson where the risk reward it was good enough. Like there's a chance that maybe it doesn't work out, but what we got going on right now isn't working out. So time to try something new.
Yeah. And Russ is the kind of guy, if they ever need to bring him back, he's not going to, go nuts in that regard.
Yeah, he did seem a bit. I will say it seemed like he was a tad bit peeved at the move. Like he didn't. I think when they were talking to him, he said it caught him off guard. I
Hmm.
think was the verbiage he used. But I will say if Kirk Cousins is still able to stand on the sidelines and play football in Atlanta after what happened down there, then
Hmm.
this Russell Wilson should be able to get over this easily.
Well, if you've been around the league as much as Russ has, you got to believe that, when the time comes, you'll if the Jackson Dart experience doesn't work, or if he gets, God forbid, hurt, you're only one snap away from coming back into the game.
Yeah.
So there's that. New Orleans is going up to Buffalo to get crushed.
Yep.
Tennessee and Houston, that's a game where
Woof.
Houston should better win. Whether they will or they won't, we don't know. But
I mean, woof. That's
Baltimore goes to Kansas City. Sorry, I don't mean to be rushing these things along, but we're at the hour mark here.
yep.
Baltimore at Kansas City. That's a rematch of last year's AFC title game. This time they played in Kansas City.
hmm
Baltimore's defense is a mess.
it is a little bit of a mess, but at the same time, Kansas City's offense is also a mess right now.
True.
So like their offensive attack consists of what how many times are we going to hit the deep ball to Tyquan Thornton right now?
Right.
Like that's the way things have been going for them. So until they get those weapons back, I would expect nothing to change. So if Baltimore defense has a chance to have a get right spot this weekend.
Okay, just jump over. Eagles are at Tampa Bay, both 3-0. Um, Tampa Bay has won all three of their games in the last 2 minutes of the game. If you have a heart condition, I strongly suggest you not watch Tampa Bay play against Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Surprising, although I shouldn't be surprised, um, the defense for the Buccaneers with Todd Bowles has just bowed their necks and seemed to be ready to to play. And I didn't see that happening. I didn't know that. I didn't think, and it's only been 3 games,
Yeah.
but that the defense would step up and play as well as they have.
Yeah, I would say I would like Tampa Bay's chances a little better this weekend if their injury report didn't look the way it did. But right now
Mhm.
you've got Mike Evans who's not going to play. I don't
Right.
believe Tristan Wirfs is questionable. Baker Mayfield's questionable.
He's going to play. Uh,
Yeah, I fully expected
Worth
Baker
is going
Mayfield
to
to
play.
play. Yeah, that was Wirfs is going to play as well.
Tristan Worth is going to play.
Okay, but I still think the missing this is a rough spot to come back and
Sure.
play. And it's both of these teams have been the pure embodiment of good teams find a way to win football games because like that's
Hmm.
what they've both done throughout the
Right.
entirety of the season. So it's going to be an interesting matchup.
Yep. Cleveland visits Detroit. Carolina goes to New England. Indianapolis has a late game in Los Angeles against the Rams. Jacksonville against San Francisco is your schedule for the upcoming week. The Sunday night game is actually the Sunday morning game. Is Minnesota versus Pittsburgh in Dublin. That's a 9:30 game. The nightcap is Green Bay at Dallas, and I don't know what to think about that game. It's kind of like, um, interesting. We should see how that plays out. Green Bay's supposed to be better. Dallas, supposed to be better, but we don't know. We do not know. So that's where we are under those circumstances. And so, one more thing, we got a double header on Monday night. We'll be able to check that out for you. The Jets are at Miami, and then the nightcap, I guess you would say, on ABC is Cincinnati and Denver. So that's where we are right now. Let me bring Matt. Matt, you there, buddy?
Yeah, sorry, I got a phone call and it messed my stuff up.
Okay.
But yeah, you're talking about that Monday night doubleheader.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a couple of tough watches right there.
Right, exactly. Friends and family only.
Yeah.
Um, let's answer Jerry's question before we leave for the day. Jerry, what you got for us? He says ECU is a winner. Eastern Carolina, I assume, University.
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't argue with that. Um, they have a good little team over there. So yeah, we're
Yeah.
on your side there, Jerry. We think for sure that you got a good shot at coming home a winner. All right, we've covered a lot of ground here today. Let me get rid of this banner. Um, and all I can say is have a good weekend. I wish you all the best as you get ready there in Athens for a heck of a football game down there
Yeah,
Saturday night. And we'll have a lot of
very
stuff to talk
possibly.
about.
Very
Sorry?
possibly the best weekend in sports for the fall. Like I
Yeah,
know there's going to be a lot of I know there's going to be a lot of good weekends of football and stuff, but just in terms of with the Ryder Cup and the MLB wrapping up and
right.
the slate of football that you have, it's one of the best, if not the best, weekends for sports that you're going to have this fall.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, by the time we get together again on Monday, we'll know who's in the baseball playoffs.
Yep, baseball playoffs,
And
Ryder Cup winners.
right,
You get some clearer pictures in some of these conferences in terms of the races and where
yeah,
things are looking for teams. So it's going to be a good weekend.
it'll be a fun time. All right, Matthew, my friend, safe travels to Athens this week, and we'll be watching and see how the Bulldogs do. And we
All right.
will reconvene this on Monday. So be well, be safe, and enjoy your weekend, Matt. And
You as well.
everybody, thank you, and everybody else, same thing. Have a great time. We have enjoyed being with you. Thanks for the questions, and don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell because you can also leave a comment. We'll answer them, and we'll see you on Monday. Take care, everybody.